morning, Year 3. We are now on Thursday's lesson. We're continuing with looking at our trial story, and today we're going to read as a reader. So we're going to look at the story again, and then you're going to answer some questions on it, look at the language that's used. So I'll just start by reading the story again to you. Before I do that, I want to read you the questions so that you can look out for the answers as I'm reading. The first question is, why do you think the trolls hide in their caves during daylight? And then it's multiple choice with your answers. Then we've got underlined words that suggest Landra did not really want to go and rescue the ship at first. So you look at the language there. And then it says, below the sea bubbled and foamed. What do the words bubbled and foamed suggest about the sea? So have a think about that. Okay, so I'm going to read the story to you again. The Stone Trolls. On the southern coast of Ireland, near the small village of Vic, there once lived a band of trolls. They were huge, ugly creatures who were feared by humans and hid away underground in the dark caves of the nearby ice-covered volcano. All trolls knew if they ever got caught outside in the daylight, they would immediately be turned to stone. So each night, under the cover of darkness, they would venture outside to hunt and fish. One stormy night, two mischievous trolls called Skess and Landra perched together on the craggy cliff watching. Below, the sea bubbled and foamed. Above, the full moon glared down, casting a long shadow across the ebony beach. In the distance, they could hear the low rumble of other trolls feasting on their hoard of freshly caught fish. Suddenly, Skess jumped up, pointed at the horizon, and roared, "Landra, look! A three-masted ship! I think it's in trouble." Landra followed his gaze and stared at the magnificent ship, pitching and rolling on the bubbling sea. "Let's wade out and put it to shore," Skess said, setting off down the beach. Landra frowned, as it was already very late, and the sun rose earlier and earlier in the late spring. But then he jumped down from the cliff and followed close behind. Slowly they waded out into the sea until at long last they reached the stricken ship. Together they started to haul it towards the distant shore, which was now just a strip of silver moonlight. For the rest of the night they heaved and they heaved and they heaved, but the ship was hefty and the sea was rough. Time passed. The two trolls didn't notice the moon slipping slowly away. Finally they reached the blackened beach where the sailors quickly clambered to safety. At that moment the first glimmer of sunlight appeared. Shocked, Skess and Landra shielded their eyes and then stared at each other in horror. Their mouths widened, their legs stiffened, their arms ground to a halt, their eyes closed. Both trolls and the remains of the ship instantly turned to stone forever. So, the first question you're going to have today says, why do you think the trolls hide in their caves during daylight? There's underline the answer that best fits. So it says, because trolls like the dark, trolls would go blind, trolls would turn to stone, and trolls would go swimming. So you need to think about that and look back in the text. So you can go back and pause the video on the text to have a look for the answer. That's a retrieval question, so the answer is in the text. The second thing is, underline the words that suggest Landra did not really want to go and rescue the ship at first. Now, it doesn't actually say Landra doesn't want to go and rescue the ship. There's clues. This is where you're using your inference. You're being a detective and you're looking for words that tell you that Landra didn't want to go and rescue the ship. So it's not what Landra's saying, it's how Landra's acting. So you would need to underline, or if we're on Purple Mash, I'll probably get you to write it, some of the words that suggest this. So the key word here is Landra, isn't it? Because that's the troll that we're looking at. So you'll need to look in this section for Landra and have a look what exactly it says. So I'll just read it to you anyway. Landra frowned, as it was already very late and the sun rose earlier and earlier in the late spring, but then he jumped down from the cliff and followed close behind. So there's a word there that tells you that Landra does not really want to go and rescue the ship, or isn't happy about it. The next question says, below, the sea bubbled and foamed. So we're looking at the word bubbled and foamed. What did the words bubbled and foamed suggest about the sea? Circle the answer that best fits. So if you imagine something bubbling and foaming, What does that mean? Now, we're talking in the context of the sea. So the sea bubbled and foamed. Do you think that that means the sea was boiling, as in it was really hot? Do you think it means the sea was calm and relaxing? Do you think the sea was like a fizzy drink, or do you think the sea was very stormy? So have a think. Sometimes the sea does bubble up and foams. When does that happen, or why does that happen? Have a think about that. And then your challenge, it says, underline the words in this paragraph that tell you there might be danger ahead. One has been done for you. So the author is trying to create suspense, trying to make the setting seem scary and there's danger coming. So you're going to underline key words that make you think this one's been done for you. So it says one stormy night, and they've underlined stormy. Stormy already, if there's a storm, you sense that it's a scary atmosphere, that danger's coming. Two mischievous trolls called Skess and Landra perched together on the craggy cliff. Do you think their names, Skess and Landra, make this paragraph sound dangerous, or that they're mischievous? Have a think about that. Perched together on a craggy cliff, watching. Below, the sea bubbled and foamed. Above, the moon glared down, casting a long shadow across the ebony beach. In the distance, they could hear the low rumble of the other trolls feasting on their hoard of freshly caught fish. So this is a setting description, and you were just underlining words or picking out words that you think create danger and suspense in this paragraph. And then your last one says, words in sentences do different jobs. Read the paragraph below again. Some words have been underlined. They all do the same job except for one. That is the odd one out. So this isn't the same question as the one previously. This one has underlined certain words. One word is the odd word out. Now I'm going to give you a little bit of a hint here. I want you to think of jobs that words do. So we've got adjectives that describe nouns. We've got verbs that are doing words. We've got adverbs that tell you what the verb is doing. You can have pronouns. You can have fronted adverbials. I want you to look at all the words that have been underlined. They're all a type of word except for one. One is the odd one out. So let's look at these. Stormy, mischievous, perched, craggy, full, long, and ebony. Out of all these words, which word do you think is the odd one out? I want you to choose which one you think it is and explain why. I'm talking more about word types, so like I said, adjectives, verbs, adverbs, fronted adverbials. Which one do you think is the odd one out? And I want you to explain why you think that. And then the last question, it says, what do you think is the job of the other underlined words in these sentences? So in this question, we looked at the odd word out and explained why. Now, all the other words that have been underlined that are the same, that have a similarity, I want you to explain what you think their job is. So why are they put in that setting description? What do they do? Now, all these questions will be on your purple mash on the to right, so you don't need to worry about that. But you might need to go back and pause the video on the story to help you a little bit. If you're stuck, you know that you can message on the blog, and I'll speak to you tomorrow. Bye.